Hi everyone, Justin Allen Hayes here again with the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We are over 250 episodes. We're just actually about the 260 total in studio and out of studio episodes, which is just remarkable. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you for your prayers, your blessings. Thank you for uh, your donations, uh, for sponsorships, and being a uh, again a light for those who uh, aren't able to share their voice, or you by sharing your voice and inspiring others to do whatever that they decide to do. Yeah, they take the information, they disseminate it, they make their judgment, and then uh, and it's our hope that we are inspiring individuals to again just say and think, I'm not alone, I'm not alone, I'm not alone. And once we get past that, then we can really uh, ramp up the process. It's been a a fast pace past couple of months. We have produced and dropped quite a bit of content really in the last 30 days, but if you look at the last 60, it really paints a, a picture that uh, again, for me to take a step back and look at that, look at the topics, look at the guests, look at the importance of public safety, the importance of First Amendment, free speech in the United States of America, uh, Constitution, and just being an American. Love it, but wouldn't rather be anywhere else to call home. And so some of the uh, flurry of activity that is going on a little bit behind the scenes, uh, we're not quite at a point where uh, we can really comment on those things. As we've mentioned in prior shows, that if we think of things from a spiritual side of things, that or doesn't even just have to be spiritual. There's things that are good, there's things that are not so good. And when we talk about things that are not so good and we share and talk about the uh, the tough topics, uh, because again, we have this huge goal of wanting to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And some of the topics we have spoken about and spoken on touch on some of these, I don't know, maybe, taboo topics, we don't talk about very much or as much as we should. Uh, but as you may be a parent, you may be an aunt, an uncle, grandma, grandpa. Uh, we want to keep society, especially we want to keep children safe, and we want parents to feel like their child is safe wherever that may be. At school, at a friend's, at a birthday party. The list really goes on and on. And it's again, it's an honor, it's a privilege to even have this show to spark research, spark ideas, spark information that may not have been known. Uh, and when that information is shared, it's up to that individual on the other end to, make that next action, whatever that may be. Um, and and we feel very optimistic in that with everything we do. There's good days, there's bad days, but that has nothing to do with sharing information under the First Amendment, talking about experiences, uh, and then any action that's taken after that. Uh, Again, we don't hit the mouse. We don't unbook a flight, unbook a hotel, unbook a registration to anything really, a sporting event, a concert, a conference, a convention. We uh we uh we just know that uh, the decision making of putting things into action is very, very important and very important to distinguish. And I'm just going to continue to mention this. We are very grateful to everybody who has ever tuned in to even 1 millisecond of our Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Uh, from the beginning, we have these thoughts, these goals, but we don't have a crystal ball. And so here to, sit here 2.5 years, I think it is, uh, when we first started this show, which started audio only, and now we are blessed, grateful, humbled to be able to have the show just like this, as you see it, as you hear it, whether it is remotely, or whether it is in the studio. And that's, again, it's just an incredible feat to be, where we're at. We just, like I said, we just passed episode 250, and so we unlocked an achievement, or a milestone achievement, where we understand that with the analytics that many podcasts, one reason or another, uh, they don't last, they don't go on as long as ours has, and continues to. And so that just warms my heart that we're with some of the elite from, an episode number standpoint. There's some that are way above us and in the thousands, and there's some that, right around 250, 300. Uh, so to be in that type of company is a very good feeling, a very uh, a very validating in that we were able to share so much. We're able to share it with so many people. And I remember growing up, we didn't really have the internet, uh, podcasting, doing shows like this was really unheard of because, a lot of the technology, uh, wasn't developed at that time. But as the years gone on, that technology has evolved. We've evolved. and and here we are. It's incredible to be where we're at. It's incredible the guests we've had on. It's incredible that you want to watch and listen and continue to watch and listen. It's incredible that you give and continue to give thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, all those free things. It's very uh, it's very humbling to look over where the analytics are this year versus where they were last year, and that can be attributed to a variety uh, of reasons. Uh, but it's we talk about negative so much that we don't really spend a lot of time celebrating the wins. Like I said, hitting that 250 episode milestone, knowing that a higher percentage don't make it, higher percentage of shows never make it that far. And I think because we're programmed to make things as efficient as possible, to make it better, that we look at errors, like what we did wrong and how we can grow, and not enough time is spent on the good things that we do and have done. Uh, the media, you know, they're looking for clicks and advertising, uh, and so they're not as much tied into the authenticity. They they're authentic in what they believe and what they do. But from our perspective, that we're able to share the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're able to share the good, even if that means less clicks, less traffic, less donations, because we've talked about this on show after show. Time's so limited here on Earth. It is so limited, and I talked about in that episode, what happens in the final days of our lives and how we feel and our thoughts and do we have regrets and what are they? Uh, I'm not going to be one of these individuals that looks back and says, "Well, I didn't try that." Instead, it's going to be the opposite. I tried it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But nonetheless, we are in over 60 countries. You just hit over 700 cities here in the United States and across the world. It's really, really incredible to see that. And like I said, it's little old me, little old organization. We're not meaning we're an old organization, just that we're very small team, very small team that's active. And we do it because we're passionate. We have skin in the game. I have skin in the game because of my mental illnesses and my past background and my current state, that I'm able to talk about, some of these, I think I've said the word taboo, but there's some of these topics that are, don't want to be talked about as much and don't want to, uh, let's put it this way, for anything, any topic, anything, the easiest thing to do is the quickest thing to do. The quickest thing to do, a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes may not be the best option to pick. do thing one or do thing two. And if we constantly pick the faster, the more efficient, that's all well and good. But just think about how many lives getting to that point, how many livelihoods were lost, how many jobs were lost. And that's a humanity problem. It's not a Voices for Voices problem. It's not a Justin Allen Hayes or anybody else on the team's problem. It just it it it, it is what it is. That whole saying. Uh, that's just the way it is. And individuals, you're out there watching, listening, reach out to me. You want to be a guest on the show? Let's talk about it. That's how probably about 70, 80% of the guests we do book are individuals or organizations represented by individuals that reach out and want to share their story and talk about some tough topics to them because they may be ready to do that. They may be ready on day one after the trauma, or it could take 15, 20, 30 years. But none of that changes us as an organization of limiting our guests. We have quite we've quite the diverse guest pool just up till now. And it's only going to get more diverse as we continue. But it's just a helpful reminder to know good is better than bad. Good outweighs bad, ethically, morally, spiritually. Uh, and if we're gonna go on this continued journey to help others in large numbers, we got to do it together. There's going to be detractors. There's going to be that, but that's everywhere. They're entitled to their free speech, and so are we. It's incredibly important to think and to understand that the law and laws that are on the books are for everyone. You know, we heard and saw prior to the 2024 presidential election here in the United States, we saw many lawsuits, many cases brought forth wanting the 45th president and now the 47th president to appear in person and go through court cases and go through trials and in discovery, just the way he has been targeted. Again, not judging the situation, we're just stating the facts. Uh, if it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody. And the judges and the attorneys and the clerk of courts and security, all that. Uh, it's hard to do when you're in a big city, but that's what, you know, some of these, well, what these agencies do well, that's their job is to adapt to, you know, a changing landscape. And so we were told nobody's above the law, nobody's above the law in that case, in those cases. So I'd like to reiterate that, well, regardless of the side of the aisle that you're on here in the United States, uh, you're not above the law. Uh, and now I'll leave it at that, that nobody's above the law, and whatever's happened in the past, whatever has been said and reported and all that. Again, I mean, I remember going through high school and then university and jobs where there were things I liked that I was hoping to spend more time on. And there's things that I didn't like entering information for an expense report, the travel, depending on where it's to, and that you handle business, that you don't take advantage of organizations that are covering airfares and trains and hotel and meals and all these things. And all that to think that, okay, well, nobody's above the law. And so if there were laws that were broken in that expense report period, that then there were laws that were broken. Pretty cut and dry. Free speech, I believe, is very cut and dry. Uh, So again, I harken back to university days where I'd have projects, papers, you name it, tests, exams, quizzes, and there were some answers that I got right, and there were some answers I did not get right. And and that was just the case. But it was to learn and to get better, from exam one to exam two. Exam one, do the studying, not exactly the exact format, not knowing exactly what the exact format is. Um, and so we're better prepared for that second exam just from a layout perspective. We're talking about multiple choice, true and false, fill in the blank, essay. And that's huge. And so we learn from those situations. And again, I might not have liked if I got a a question or questions not right, because right, we want the highest grade possible. We want to do well. We want that to reflect in our GPA, and so then we're able to share that on resume um and to feel accomplished and all these different things. But the important thing is that I wasn't always right. There may be a couple times where I answered all the questions correctly and I got 100%, but that doesn't make me or anybody perfect. It's just for that exam, that presentation, that I was able to answer all the questions correctly. And then I would take the following project and I would get questions and points taken off for reasons I should have known and should have asked more questions. Same thing is here with an organization. Some people are gonna like what we have to say and what we talk about, and some people won't. So I go back to, well, there's some things that maybe I or somebody else doesn't like for whatever reason about an organization, about a product that, feel like, oh, well, this sandwich is supposed to be 12 inches and it's only 8. And so there's things that can be measured and say, well, okay, you're advertising, it's a 12-inch sub and it's not, it's an 8 or it's a 9. And so that big organization could be in the wrong no matter what. That Goliath could be in the wrong, whether they like it or not. They could be in the wrong. And where the little guy, the little person, stature and uh, finance wise brings it up, seems like a long shot. Seems like it's not possible to overcome. Seems like, oh, I'm just gonna be that bystander, just walk by and just buy this particular this hypothetical sandwich and just continue on our day. Because again, to bring things to light is hard to do for these reasons, for most of these reasons, because that's we're sharing and talking about information might be uncomfortable. Again, there's many other podcasts and shows out there. Change the channel. Go to I mentioned before, go to a different donut shop. If you're looking for glazed donuts and the first two or three places don't have any, well, go to another place. Don't like it, don't like driving to multiple places. But if that's the case, that's the case. We can be upset, we can be mad. Uh, However, if we're looking for something, are we going to be like, oh, you should have had this when I came in? That's neither here nor there. So people can be wrong, no matter how small, how less powerful, less connected, less uh, with not deep pockets, can still be uh, a person, an organization that is still sharing relevant information. Because what? We leave it up to the listener, the viewer. Take information, don't take it. At the end of the day, you make your decision and we make ours. So thank you for joining us on this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We'll catch you on a future episode. And thank you so much for joining us, following us, liking us, giving us a big thumbs up. We love you. Thank you for your love, support. God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world and all of humanity. We'll see you later.